Chapter 1. The beginning of the early 1900s. At the turn of the 20th century, many began to wear the middle-class men's suit, which originated in England, as opposed to the more decadent knee-length frock coats and the more elaborate suits of the 1800s. Most suits in the early 1900s consisted of three pieces: the jacket, the trousers, and the vest, which was known as a waistcoat at the time. Men wore morning coats during the day, which were just jackets with curved, asymmetrical tailcoat from front to back. These coats were often paired with matching or subtly striped trousers. Additionally, men had evening suits, which were typically darker in color with richer fabrics. In the 1910s, lighter fabrics and simpler suits grew in popularity. By the latter half of the 1910s, a man's daytime suit consisted of straightforward, single-breasted jacket with narrow lapels and high buttons. This was paired with straight trousers. The button-down shirts were typically pastel, striped, and adorned with a club collar and a tie. Collars at the time were detachable. This was because collars needed more frequent cleaning than the shirts and could be more easily replaced if ruined. Men's ensembles were then topped off with the boater or gambler hats and two-tone boots. Chapter 2. The 1950s. At the beginning of the decade, men's attire was decidedly simple. Most businessmen adhered to a uniform of dark flannel suits, and conformity became ideal once again. The threat of the Cold War loomed over everyone's heads. Men wanted to look as much like good Americans as possible. Thus, everyone looked alike. Suits no longer sported shoulder pads, but if they did, they were minimal. Ties were slimmer, shirt collars were less pronounced, and the brims of hats were considerably narrower. Trousers, however, remained mostly unchanged. Over time, the 50s became a bit more leisurely. Travel began to boom, as well as an interest in sports. Fashion adapted with these interests, and casual athletic attire, like the polo shirt, grew in popularity. Short shorts in pastel colors took center stage in men's casual wear. Sports blazers, cut in more comfortable shapes and made with lighter materials, became a staple of everyday wear. Additionally, sunglasses, which were previously considered a luxury item, became more affordable and thereby grew in popularity. For teenagers and young adults, the 50s were born. The overall sense of post-war calm, the permeated society wasn't all that stimulating, and so the greaser subculture was born. Greasers became a popular subculture both in pop culture and in fashion because of Elvis Presley, Marlon Brando, and James Dean. The standard greaser look consisted of fitted white and black t-shirts, ringer t-shirts, baseball shirts, black or blue rolled-up denim, leather jackets, bomber jackets, and Letterman jackets. Teenagers would complete the look with fedoras, motorcycle helmets, vintage leather caps, flat caps, army boots, Winkle Pinkers, Creepers, and Converse Chuck Taylor All-Stars. Chapter 3. The 2000s. The early 2000s saw the climb of fast fashion with globalization and the ability to cut costs through outsourcing. Brands such as H&M and Forever 21 were able to mimic runway looks at a fraction of the cost. This resulted in the collapse of class structures defined by fashion. High and low trends were mixed, and as clothing became cheap, everyone was able to sign up for designer accessories. At the turn of the millennium, men's fashion experienced a brief futuristic wave. Black, silver, and metallic were in. Men wore leather outfits, puffy jackets, tracksuits, and rockport boots. Accessories such as white belts, aviators, trucker hats, flip-flops, argyle print, and Oxford shoes were also in. Suits became slimmer, and popular styles included black navy, charcoal, and pinstripes. Nehru suits and mandarin collars inspired by James Bond and The Matrix began to emerge. Men favored the smart casual look with flat front chinos, beige cardigans, argyle pullovers, and houndstooth sport coats. Youth fashion was inspired by the hip-hop and skater culture, mixing sportswear and high fashion. Sneakers, from Chuck Taylors to Nike Air Jordans, became hot items. At the time, goth and indie pop subcultures developed. People became interested in vintage thrift store shopping and adopted a darker, rocker aesthetic, a twist on British mob. In conclusion, from dressing from propriety to dressing to express yourself, we've certainly come a long way. In 100 years, we have changed the game when it comes to fashion, many, many times. Menswear has been influenced by music, war, the economy, women's fashion, cars, gangs, celebrities, sports, and so much more. Since before you were even born. Think about that the next time you put on a fedora or a tie.